Hello, welcome back to my channel. I want you all to know that in the process of setting up to film for this, I spilled my coffee and I cut my finger and I managed to make my phone, which is what I'm recording on, fall off of the desk. So I feel a little bit like a Three Stooges act, to be totally honest, and my finger hurts. But we're here today. And today I wanted to share with you a few of the signs that I missed that are postpartum depression, that when I was in them, I don't think I recognized as postpartum depression, but in hindsight, it's like so obvious, blaringly obvious what was going on. So I shared these 3 things today in the hope that if you are in the midst of heaviness, if you are in your postpartum period and you're trying to figure out what's going on, I hope that you can take some of these signs that I missed and maybe identify them for yourself. Or if you know a mom who is going through it right now who might need a little extra support, that you can give this video to her, take this, my stories, this knowledge, and offer a little help. Who wants to bet I spilled this coffee again? So we're gonna put that down. So the first thing that comes to mind, what I missed, was the disconnection from my baby. I remember watching other people hold her and feeling happy that she could bring other people joy and connection, but when I held her, I didn't feel that connection. And I also found it really hard to believe that she was my baby. I knew she was mine, but I didn't feel that connection when I was looking at her. And I didn't realize that that is a symptom of postpartum depression. I just thought maybe I wasn't experiencing motherhood the way most people do. It made me sad, but I didn't know it was depression. The other thing that I didn't realize was depression was the sense of numbness that I had, where I just felt like I didn't really care about a lot of things anymore because I felt numb to it. I didn't have a lot of emotion, and I definitely didn't feel like I was ever going to feel joy or excitement or enthusiasm again. That felt like a life that was behind me at that point, and I didn't imagine it was going to be coming back. I also had a lot of sadness about the fact that I didn't feel like myself after having a baby. I felt like there was me before her and me after, and those two were never going to be the same person again. And that was heartbreaking to me. That was really hard to know that my identity had not only changed, but I felt like I'd lost it entirely. I didn't know who I was anymore, and I knew I could probably create her, but I didn't even have the motivation to try. I just missed who I used to be so much that I just wanted to find an escape. A third and final thing about postpartum depression that I didn't realize was depression was the amount of anxiety that I had. I just felt anxious all the time. I felt like I was too much. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I was a burden to my family, to my husband specifically. I felt like their lives, my baby and my husband, their lives would be better off without me. I truly believed that because I felt like I was so overwhelmed, so lost, and so sad all the time. I couldn't imagine that they wouldn't just have more joy if I wasn't there. And again, in hindsight, and talking about this with you, it seems so obvious. Like that's what you were going through. But when you are in postpartum depression and you're having those thoughts, it's not like there's a trigger in your brain that's like, these are signs of postpartum depression, we need to get help. Unless you can see that yourself, it's not easy to differentiate between what other people are experiencing and what you're experiencing, especially if you are too afraid to say anything about it. And my breaking point came when I had a panic attack and I felt like my entire mental health unraveled. Suddenly, all I wanted to wear was black, and I wanted to hide myself in oversized clothes so I could be invisible. and I had thoughts of taking my own life. That's when I knew it was bad and I needed to get help because I wasn't going to be able to pull myself out of that. And there are a few things that I have learned in the time since I reached out for help and I got help that frankly have blown my mind with the lack of information that new moms are given about mental health and postpartum depression. I think a lot of us are told about baby blues in the first weeks to a couple of months that you come home, but what about the entire postpartum year, up to 2 years after you have a baby, that things could change? Because 7% of new moms will experience postpartum depression or anxiety 9 to 12 months after having a baby. And that was me, that was my story. At 9 months, when my daughter turned 9 months, it's like the bottom fell out and I crashed into a depression I have never known before. And that's 7% of moms who will go through that. They will either experience it for the first time or have a resurgence of postpartum depression and anxiety symptoms. 7% of new moms. I can't emphasize enough how much I want moms to know that, to be aware of what doesn't end at 12 weeks, what doesn't nicely wrap itself up 6 months after your baby comes. There is a 1 to 2 year period after delivery when you need to be aware of what's going on with yourself too, to make sure that you can care for baby too. Another thing I've learned is that 1 in 8 women, according to the CDC, will experience PPD or PPA, but 50% will not report. 50% will not seek help. The other thing that I wanted to talk about too is that if left untreated, postpartum symptoms can last up to 3 years. So if there's 50% of moms who are not reporting their symptoms, they can experience that kind of depression or anxiety for up to 3 years after delivery, which means if a mom decides to have another baby 18 months after her first, she could be experiencing those same symptoms for even longer because we don't know about it and because they don't report. And I also want us to know that postpartum depression doesn't just look like a mom who can't get out of bed. That's more of a stereotype than anything. Depression can also look like feeling disconnected from your baby, feeling numb to the world around you, overwhelming sadness, an inability to concentrate or make decisions. What I mean by that is the weight of making a simple decision, like where should I go get dinner or get coffee, can feel so overwhelming and huge that you can't make that decision. Or you have so many thoughts racing through your mind that you can't concentrate on what's in front of you. You have so many doubts, so many questions, so many insecurities and fears running through your mind constantly that you can't concentrate on what's in front of you. That's what it can feel like too. It can also be anger, feeling angry and not knowing why. That can also be a sign. It can be debilitating anxiety that leaves you unable to do something as simple as change your baby's diaper. I had that one too. It takes so many different forms and it can come in different symptoms that it's important to know the full list of symptoms of what it can look like and report to your doctor anything that you're noticing that doesn't seem like you, because it could be indicative of a need for additional support or additional help. Now, if I can leave you with anything in this video, I want you to know that asking for help makes you wise, not weak. Asking for help means you know you're human. You can't do everything, and you can't do it all alone. Humans are supposed to have connection. We're supposed to support each other and help out whenever we can. So asking for help makes you wise, not weak. I also want you to know that there is no single way to experience the postpartum period. It doesn't have to be immensely joyful and wonderful all the time. And it may not. There's certainly a part of me that grieves for the postpartum period that I had, and the disconnect I had with my daughter for months. But I also know that I fought back to have a connection with my daughter that feels so strong and so secure today. Had I not asked for help, had I not gone to treatment, that wouldn't be the story I'm telling you. It just wouldn't. So even if you're in the depths of sadness right now, grieving what you thought a postpartum period would look like for you, I get it. And there's still hope that it will get better, that it will be different. I also want to remind you that you are worthy of help and good things. You are worthy of reaching out to ask for support because someone is going to listen and they're going to understand, and you will get help. We just need you to ask. So if any of this video resonated with you today, if you are watching this and you're thinking, that's me and I need help, or that actually reminds me of someone I know, reach out. If you're the one saying, this is my story, I implore you to reach out and get some help, get support, say something to someone you trust and get help. And if you know someone that this video is making you think of, reach out and then keep reaching out again and again and again. Because she may not be able to say, I need help the first time, but maybe the 10th or the 25th or the 50th, she might be able to say, I can't do all this on my own and I need help. Keep reaching out. I also share more of my Substack. I share more of my story on my Substack, which is Mom's Mental Health on Substack. And I'm also going to be launching a podcast here shortly where you can learn more about my story as well. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, send this to someone who might relate to it, who might be in need of it right now. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, take care of yourself.